Ready when you are.
Actually, he's a distracting. No.
Yeah, we'll just.
I think
just shut her down.
I think that's a good intro.
Welcome back, folks. We are coming at you with another Legends of Musky Fishing video. What's going on up there, Robbie?
Oh, it's still cold. Looking like some awesome weather coming though in a couple days. Haven't been fishing much because why would we do that?
Too cold.
Too cold. Stupid. But hopefully get down to Madison here soon and maybe do some pike fishing. That's what I'm excited for. But actually more excited to do this interview though with Mr. Steve Herbeck, otherwise known as Herbie, the fish slaying king. Oh my gosh. I can't believe we got you at Lee's house. That's awesome. You guys are together.
Makes it
simpler. Yeah.
So cool. For those of you not familiar with Steve, some of our younger viewers, Steve has been an absolute inspiration for me and everyone in the muskie world. He has fished muskies pretty much everywhere in North America for the most part, maybe a couple of states here or there that you haven't made it to yet, possibly.
I'm working on them.
He's working on them. But yeah, this guy cut his teeth from Madison area as well. So that's pretty cool. I'll let him tell the rest. Before we get started, though, we just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Wausau Muskie Bash. There is going to be a muskie show, and that's going to be March 19th and 20th at the Expo Center in Rothschild. So we're looking forward to that. I'm going to swing by there on Saturday. I probably won't have a booth there, but it'll still be cool to swing by and swing through a muskie show and do all that.
You know, it's a different show too, and it'll be even more so this year. But you know, I've done every single muskie show for
everywhere.
Yeah, how many years?
30 years. You know what I mean? And this one has a different feel to it. It's just you know, yeah, it's commercial because everybody's selling everything, but it's just got a little different feel to it. It's more homebody, good old boy type of feeling to it. Not that most of the muskie shows are that way too. This is even more so. It's just a little different feel. And if somebody wants to get away and finally from this winter doldrums and see what they're missing, you know, what we all missed.
Right.
It'd be a good choice to try it, you know.
Yeah, Rich Reinhardt and Penny and Mike Etzel do a fabulous job for that show. We'll leave a link down in the description so you can hightail your butts over to there for a day or so and check out the only muskie show this winter. So
yeah. Also, before we get started, probably one of the first times like in a long time you could fish with Mr. Steve Herbeck locally. You got some open dates left, sir. That's insane. Usually you're up in Canada, and you know a lot of people don't give a chance.
Last year just got to be too much for me, waiting every month.
Yeah.
You know, trying to just thinking, that it was going to open. You kind of got those false sense of securities, and finally it just got to the point where the end of August, you could just see what the writing on the wall was.
Right.
So I booked up a bunch of September and October, just people that called me to see how I've been.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I can't take this. I'm going to take this. Oh, give me 2, give me 3, and then all of a sudden I was busier than I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Good problem. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. A lot of memories. There ain't nothing like fishing eagle for me, obviously. But this fishery down here, is amazing. I had to get a little bit used to the difference in
pleasure boaters and jet skis.
Company. I'm gonna be polite and call it company.
Yep.
But just forget about that. Don't let it bother you.
Right.
The fishing is, I'm telling you, down this way.
It's pretty
insane
here, and the rivers, and a few of the other lakes around here that are kind of kept off to the side.
Yeah.
Where Madison's getting the big publicity, and rightfully so.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunities, and to be quite honest, I got some gigs going on in northern Wisconsin too, because just guys I fished with for years and everything.
Right.
But man, I'll tell you, the fishing down here's. It's pretty tough to beat in Wisconsin.
No, it's definitely better. I would say.
The number of 45+ inch fish is astronomical.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for an absolute giant, there's Green Bay, but still, you can get beat up pretty bad out there. Where around here, you can get pretty much a bite a day, if not a lot more. You know?
Oh yeah.
So there's not many days you don't at least you get a chance, and that wasn't the way it was when I started down here years ago.
Oh no,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing what has been done. I'm really impressed.
A lot of hard work
Yeah.
has been put into it.
Yeah.
So Steve will be guiding in throughout Wisconsin from, I guess, what
May 1st.
the opener is.
I'm gonna do a few walleye stuff in April and that, but for the most part, my real serious gig is gonna be from May 1st on, and I'm looking forward to it. I dabbled with a few of the little out of the way places around here, and excited to get further exploring.
Right.
Just, Eagle is so immense and so much. And the first time I stepped on it, it scared me. I was petrified, and now it's like too small.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm always trying to find new spots, and I've tried fishing a new spot every day, and I have for 28 years. Okay, now, some of them work out, some of them don't.
Right.
But to start on something freshly new, like the rivers or some of these smaller lakes, that are around here too, besides the Madison chain, and just seeing how the Madison chain changed and how I had to adapt. Because when I was guiding, it was tigers. There were a few naturals, but you couldn't count on them at all.
Young ones.
And to see how the weed types and how they've changed and lay out in 30 years it's been fun.
That's insane. That's awesome.
New
it's like going to new water.
Right. So
that's cool.
So we'll leave a link down in the description how to get a hold of Steve via phone number, Facebook, whatever. We'll leave that so you could possibly fish with the legend, Steve Herbeck. So.
Well, the thing of it is, I really just love fishing. You know what? I have a really hard time enjoying myself going out and fishing by myself, where some people love it. I'm just wired. I'm just wired to the point of sharing it with people, and I feed off their excitement. That's what makes me excited. I love and appreciate any muskie I catch, but to be honest, unless something really crazy happens, I don't shake that much anymore on my own. But a kid or a woman gets a 38 or a 40 incher, and man, I'm shaking so bad I can't hardly get the hooks out of the fish.
That's amazing.
So that's what I live for. I could just sit and wait for the border to open, get back up and do what I did, but I really miss it. I miss sharing with the people, and the memories of what I can teach people and seeing them appreciate it. And it's just really a cool thing to do. And I think a lot of people that are in the business take it a little bit the wrong way, and it's pretty cool.
That is why Robbie and I started doing this whole Today's Angler project, was to share it with you guys. So thank you so much for all the support. Let's dive into this exciting interview. And I'm not a great interview by any means, but we're just going to let Steve talk. Basically, I want to hear the story. Where are you from? How old are you? When did you get started? Let's let you talk.
Well, I'm going to turn 50 at the end of March.
I thought it was 40
this year.
I thought it was 40s.
Well, but anyway, I was born right, not far from here, Lee, and was living in Stoughton. I was actually born in a little bit more, southwest there, but I spent most of my life growing up in Stoughton, just near here, Madison. And my dad would take me. We had a plane, little car up at Longville. We'd go up and run up and fly up and fish leech on weekends and fish in Wisconsin.
That was maybe what years were you running to Longville?
Oh shit, that was back in 60s, early 70s.
Wow.
Were you there for the Muskie Rampage? That was a few years before.
That's why you went. Maybe.
Yeah, that's why.
Hey, let's kill these things.
Wow. That's
but my dad got me going. Like, he'd get away on weekends here and there with a couple of the good old boys, and they'd go up and get a cabin up in northern Wisconsin, play cards and drink all weekend and fish. And I started getting able to go along. And my first trip up to Squirrel Lake, I caught my first muskie. It was only like a 38 or 39 incher, but it seemed to me like it was 55 at the time, and I was just screwed after that. I was like, and I had a regular life there. I was, getting married and all that kind of stuff, had a job and all this, but I was always trying to get out of work to go fishing. I had an insulation business there for Madison for a while, and I was just always screwing things up trying to get out of work to go fishing. I knew I had to do something. You know,
There's a problem.
The tigers were coming on, and they weren't really being exploited by many musky clubs and things like that. So once I started catching some fish and the word got around, and I started guiding part time here and there, well, then pretty soon all the Muskie Inc. clubs wanted to know about what was going on. It was the first real big gig of what we've seen going on every place else now.
So what year would that be then?
That would have been 86, 85, and maybe 80, 84, 85, 86 is when I first started around here. And then I was jumping up to northern Wisconsin for 3-4 day getaways and learning more lakes up there. And
how big were those tigers, by the way?
Well, I caught them up to 48.
Wow. Do you have any of those pictures still?
Never saw. Oh yeah, I got some. I'll get some to.
Steve's got pictures.
Wow, that would be so.
There was a lot of 46 to 44-inch fish.
So when were they stocked, in the 70s then?
Yeah, sure. All of a sudden they were there. Don't ask me. I'd say.
Yeah. I know my grandfather caught muskies out of Wingra back in the 60s.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. 4 foot.
And I mean, at that time when I was doing it, I mean, you could make contact with fish real regular, and they're just, I think there's something to it. They're a little easier to catch, and they really liked hanging around certain areas.
Sure. What boat were you rocking then?
I had a Magnum E-Sox.
Okay. Yep.
First couple of years, I had my dad's old aluminum.
Yeah.
So I dropped it off the trailer going around a curve in Winona.
How did this happen? I want to hear this story.
Pretty excited, to get to the landing. It's still young. Cut the curve a little too sharp.
Yeah. Oh, and it just
came off the trailer.
Oh yeah, right. Rush hour traffic. I had guys helping me trying to get it up back on the trailer.
You didn't have straps on the back?
No. I wasn't too much of a hurry. You know how you are when you're 20 years old.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
But then just the lure of up north just got to me. I wanted to get away from the boating traffic and that, and it's just the pines and the north woods. Just they just do something to you. And at that time, I had way more balls and brains on anything, but I got a lot of things done because I was pretty fearless.
Sure.
And so here I had Danny was just a little baby, and my wife, and we packed up a camper trailer and I put it into Camp Holiday and started my first season through all kinds of weather. And it's kind of like the gypsy boys we got going now.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's how it started for me too. And then I got a house and started becoming to the point where I didn't have to worry about any bookings. I was full, and I started to do seminars and stuff like that. And then we were got lucky and caught a couple big fish, which didn't hurt. They were in the 6 years I was actually guiding in northern Wisconsin. Customers of mine twice caught the largest fish caught in the state for the year, and those weren't guests. Those had the ball peen hammer between the heads. So,
they were weighed.
So those were weighed. That was back in those days where you weighed fish like that.
All right, let's back it up a little bit. Let's back it up. Yeah,
I agree.
So you're saying, did you live all year in that trailer, winter through all?
No, through the season.
Just for the season, okay. And your wife she came up with you?
Trooper.
So you packed your family, your young kid. You moved to, where did you move to? Where were you set up?
Well, I still had that season. Let's see how this goes,
Yeah.
So I still kept my house down here.
Totally quit your job then?
Oh yeah, it was done.
Yeah, it was go time.
So we stayed in that camper trailer at Camp Holiday for the whole season, right up until about the second week of October, and then she came back home with Danny, and I stayed.
Sure.
Then I stayed in, and Bubba Smith, a buddy of mine, was guiding up there. I stayed with him through November.
So where was this located then?
Boulder Junction.
Boulder Junction.
Mm-hmm. And I was doing a little bit of guiding there, or most of my guiding was there, and I was doing a little bit over towards Robbie's country back in that day, Coudray and.
Oh, really? You'd come over here?
Oh, yeah. We got one of the bigger fish was that was a 55.5 incher out of Coudray.
What?
Yeah.
Holy crap! Wow, I need to see.
Was
Was that a striped fish then?
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
Oh my gosh!
Unbelievable, beautiful fish. Yeah.
Holy crap! A true pure Coudray fish.
Yeah, it's just that
Holy
lake is
crap.
pretty amazing lake. It's just a shame it's not like a Vermilion was, because it could be.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was our subject of our last.
With Ramsell.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, with Larry and Pete.
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
55.5 inch. Oh my gosh.
Do you have an image of that fish?
Holy crap! What did you did you weigh that one? Was that one
43.6? It was. It was aged at 29 years old. Didn't have any teeth left.
Yeah.
So it was.
When did you catch it? What time of year?
It was November.
November. Holy cow! 43.
On what?
Sucker.
Yeah.
Off a hog's back.
Meat.
Yeah, we had 11 fish that week, and 3 others were 30 pounders.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That's the kind of stuff that could happen back in those days on that lake.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was one of the big topics I would love to discuss with you too about. But we can get into that later. But yeah, that's a shame. Holy cow. You can't get a 30-pounder in a week up here. It seems like sometimes. In the fall.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 3 weeks. Yeah. Gosh. Oh,
yeah. So
sad.
So you packed your family up.
Yep.
You did the first season up there, and so where did it go from there?
What year was this, you think?
That
roughly?
Was 87.
87? Okay.
Yep,
Gotcha.
87. And so it lucked out that first year we got that that 43
pounder.
43.
Oh, that was your first year? You got that fish? Yeah. Holy cow! Wait, that'll put you on the map.
I helped jump things, when
yeah.
Took it along to shows and when I was doing seminars, and it was there wasn't near the competition back then as
right.
What
were electronics like and stuff?
My first couple years I ran a Cytex.
Oh yeah.
3-color
flasher
and paper graph.
Paper graph?
Glass.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No, actually it was a Cytex too.
Yeah. No, they had paper too. Okay.
Yeah.
Cytex became Vexilar later, right?
Exactly.
I've never heard of what's a paper graph. What do you mean?
Oh, it's got.
I'm picturing like a screen with just a paper map.
Like what you see on your full screen locators now. Only you got
GPS.
You got a big long paper record of it.
Oh, okay. So that's literally okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you
that's amazing.
Not familiar, a paper graph actually had a roll of paper inside the unit, and it scrolled and printed out your display.
It was actually carbon. The bottom of your graph would be full of carbon because the needle was. You could see a spark on the tip of the needle that was going across the paper. It wasn't ink.
Like a lie detector test, kind of, sort of, but not really.
Yeah. Wait, so what was the point of that? It would show your position on the lake, or what?
No, it would print out
there wasn't liquid crystal.
There's no LCD.
No LCD.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like
okay, I understand.
The color flasher was high tech, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
The color flasher was high tech.
Holy crap!
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. And then and you're catching 55.5-inch muskies with that technology. That's amazing. That's crazy.
Tell me how deep it is. I'm good, right?
Yep.
Well, to be honest, to this day, the same locators that you're using ice fishing right now are probably, to me, you just have to watch them all the time.
Right.
So don't you, with the new Garmin's and the new Humminbird technology coming, you got to watch them all the time, just like a flasher,
right?
Because everything's moving that so much.
Yeah, it's quick.
So the only thing is you just got to watch the graph. But to be honest, you can see probably more on a flasher graph than you can on any if you're watching it. And you know what you're reading.
Yeah, once you learn it, it's like watching bluegills under the ice. You know what's happening.
Yeah.
But
so really, it just you just had to watch it more. But it wasn't long after that the LCD started coming out. But still, at that point, I still was convinced the flasher was technology way better.
Yeah.
Started seeing what I wanted to see.
So what about the rods and reels at that point? Mid
7.5s were the big ones.
Yeah.
They were the first. That was the first, but round the end of the 86s on is when. Well, 7.5 was our 910s now.
Right.
That's and it, at that point the jump from the little stubby Fenwicks to the to a 7.5 foot. That time the only place that made them was Gander Mountain, the 7.5s. Booker started that.
Like flipping sticks, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, and reels, 6,500 C3s.
Yeah.
That was the bread and butter. 7,000s even. I used a lot of 7,000s.
I did. Yeah, I did. Once I got to Canada. We started saying, "Wow, we got to go." That's when the boys in Minnesota started really using the 7,000s a lot.
Yeah.
So we picked up on that.
Got to reel faster.
Yep.
That's awesome. Wow.
All right, so enter into your kind of next season of Northern Wisco. What happened?
Things just started, really going well as far as being full, and I, picked up a sales rep jobs. I covering the state in the winter between shows. I was doing quite a few seminars, so it turned into a full-time deal.
Yeah.
It's not Bill Gates or nothing, but I was doing pretty well. I was taking care of the family. And
you're living.
I made more money than this before, but this is a hell of a lot more fun.
Right.
And to me, that's just kind of the way, I live my life. Kind of, from the hip.
Just try to live, doing what you love. Yeah.
Doing what I love to do. So
that's awesome. What were rates back then? First year guiding.
Well, I can remember when I went to like $200, everybody thought that I was going to put myself out of business, and I got busier.
Got more busy.
That's awesome.
I fished day and night. I was I was doing double shifts. Back then there was a lot of real hungry guys coming up that would do anything with you. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I was crazy enough to, start it before daylight and not get done just in time to get back for last call.
That's amazing.
Those are some hours.
That's a long day.
And that was every day of the week. So you learn stuff pretty fast when you're going at that speed. And so it was just a time. It was also a time between those mid to late 80s to about the mid to late 90s that was just a remarkable time of discovery in this industry. So many things were starting to become aware to people that we were coming out of the dark ages and realizing how what these fish were doing, and so many different things. And that's about when some new baits started coming out. The rubber first hit the scene, and there wasn't after that the Big Ten started hitting the scene and stuff like that. And there was a lot of new jumps.
Catch and release.
And like for me, the difference between like when I just liked to fish muskies and when I first just got started to like by 1990 conceptually, I was totally different on the way I went about chasing muskies. The whole concept was now starting a real thinking type of process and an evaluation of things constantly, because so many things were coming to light that people now just take for granted.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
You're able to pattern the food.
Yeah.
That was probably the biggest thing I think that came into play.
One of them, yeah.
People used to just throw to the shoreline.
Yeah. And then to be, and I've always said this too. There's been some really cool baits come out that have really pounded on the fish because they were just a really good bait.
Double tens.
But did they change the way conceptually I thought about fishing? No, I still fished them the same way as like say if this is double tens as a fluted as I did before that. It's just they were just much more of a magnet. The same way with the multi-point pole crankbaits. They caught all kinds of fish trolling, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, but did they change the way I trolled? Not really. It's just I had a better mousetrap.
tool.
Okay.
Right. Sure.
But the rubber baits, the bulldogs, you know, the Medusas and stuff was something to me that conceptually made me or allowed me to change the way I fished muskies, because it allowed me to fish so many different levels and edges and things like that, and then I visually, you know,
Right, putting the
Stop
bait
and
in
go
the strike
fishing.
zone.
and
Yeah.
mentally conceptually thinking about what you're doing and
Right.
visualizing what you're doing, and then you start seeing successes doing things that were more than just throwing over the green weed bed. And oh my God, if this lake doesn't have a green weed bed, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it really opened things up for me, because it was a bait that allowed you to fish basically everything but extreme topwater to as deep as you wanted to fish.
Right.
And everything from cover to open water or anything in between. So that kind of was a big thing for me. I think the bait itself conceptually drew me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
More so than the bait was such a magic bait for me catching fish, which it was, you know, at that time when they first came out, for sure, and they still are. But it just it grew me as a fisherman, just like something that's doing with people right now, for instance, is side scan.
Sure.
Or
Yep.
I mean, that conceptually has
Yeah.
changed things for a lot of really good anglers.
Yes.
You know,
They're not even casting at it till they see one.
Yeah, and things like that. The new technologies are almost getting
Not good.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Could be a bad thing, really.
But that was one thing that right in that era there, early '90s, that changed the way I started thinking about these fish.
Rubber baits, right?
Yeah, and it
okay.
allowed me to realize what these fish were capable of doing, reeling in a bait on the dark of the moon with absolutely no blades or no joints or nothing, and smoking fish behind noisier baits. So
Really?
it really started.
What bait was that back then?
Those
What was?
any of the big Joes or the Bulldogs or anything.
Okay.
We throw them out, reel them straight in on dark of the moon, and fish were swallowing them.
Oh yeah.
Clear water? Or?
Yeah. So I mean, it really woke me up as to, wow, what are these fish really capable of, and what are they capable of? That, and that's when the concept too of conditioning started getting into people's heads, and we started realizing what might be coming on with these fish and how they're, you know, reacting. And the musky fishing started to really explode even more and more.
Yep.
And so a lot of these things just started waking people up, astute anglers, and that's, I think, when the first big real growth in musky fishing occurred, was because of a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Made it
that,
easier, maybe. I don't know. Obviously,
it became more readily available on television.
Yeah,
I mean, there was In Fishman, of course, and Joe Booker, and Bob Mason-Comer, and everything. You know, I mean, and there were articles, and you know, you were writing them, and it's just really exploded at that point.
What should we jump into?
And then, so what happened was, you know, it was a successful deal there in northern Wisconsin.
So you're there for 6 years.
Yeah, and then we got that big fish off of trout, that 4810, and that actually, when I brought that in at 9:30 in the morning, it bottomed the Vilas County scale at 50. Okay, so I
did lose a couple pounds.
That was right when all that crazy stuff was going around about the St. Lawrence fish and all that, Lenny Hartman and all them guys, all that stuff was going around, and I kind of got a little spooky because the fish was only 43.25 inches long, or 53.25 inches long.
Yeah.
But it was 26 inches behind the gills, and it was 26 inches at the asshole. So it was like a rectangle.
Yeah, a big scotty.
So let's back up though. I want to hear the whole story of this fish. Steve, a fish he's referring to. If for those of you not familiar, there was the Vilas County Muskie Marathon, which was the contest. Was there two categories, catch and release and kill?
At that time, it was just killed. Then the next year, there was a release division.
Okay. Okay. So what year is this of the Steve Whitefish?
91.
1991. So I want to hear the day. I want to hear about the day this happened.
Well, it was November. It was cold. That night that morning I put a salamander against the lower unit of. We all had 2-strokes back then. There wasn't 4-stroke. I put a salamander heater against the side of my motor to make sure the oil got nice and loose. And I was fishing trout at that time, which was only about a 5-mile run. And I quick slid into the
lodge,
into the Northern Highlands there at the sports shop. Picked up Steve White, who at that time had become a super client of mine, and he was just always positive. Just one of them guys you love getting in the boat. Just the way, because of their attitude. Not that he was a super fisherman. His attitude called the fish in like a magnet. Whenever we fished together, good things happen. And I picked him up, and he jumped in, and he said, took one look at me, and he said, "You sure you don't want me to drive? I've been up the night before, and I says, no, I think I can do it. He says, good, I like you like that. We always catch more fish. So we made it
like that.
Oh man, I love it.
That's amazing.
So we made it to the lake, got the boat in, and even by that time, the oil started getting a little thick. So I was going along this big stretch it's a whitefish spawning area, and we were out off of it where they were starting to stage up there, and
how deep?
The fish came in about 65 feet, about 18 to 22 down.
Oh my gosh!
A big M9 gold prism grandma. I probably had at least 150 feet of line out, and I had 1.5 ounces rubber core ahead of it.
Sure.
So I figured I was down about 18 to 22.
Yeah.
And
what time of day did the fish strike?
Right away, man.
Right away.
Well, we caught one about 44 inches on the first pass. We caught this fish on the second pass, but
yeah, just catching them in Trout Lake, just a couple fish a day, Good luck now.
Actually, there were times I would go.
Yeah.
A bite.
Sure.
But
that's big water.
Back then, when you got one, it was usually a pretty good one,
Yep.
But
the rod goes off.
Yeah. Well, anyway, no, the motor wouldn't run right. The reason I caught that fish was because I had to keep gunning it and slamming it in gear and get going, trying to get it really warmed up and hot. Sure. And so what I was doing was I was like working. We were like
twitching.
Looking back.
You're twitching a grandma.
I was
with your motor.
I was jerk casting my boat. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm
my
pretty sure I didn't think about it till after the season was over. That the reason why I caught that fish was because of the way
from that
and speeding up and slowing down, trying to
get your motor running.
Warmed up, But anyway, when the rod went off, it was on a planer board rod, and I finally got the board off, and I quick got back to the motor, and I was watching Steve fight it, and the rod was just a whipping, and the fish actually running. You know how when you really run, how the rod tip will
No
whip?
kidding.
So I thought he was doing something stupid, and I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he goes, no, that's the fish running. And I at that time I used flipping rods and like 20-pound test mono for trolling.
Yeah.
And the drag was just woo, 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 going across on a 7,000. I thought, holy man. And then when we got the fish up and it went into the net, like I said, I would never kill that fish now, but back then that's
normal.
That's what happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what happened. I mean, I knew when it hit the bag. I thought it was longer than it was. I thought when it went on the deck, and I saw, because it was bent, but I saw how immense it was. I knew it was something very special, and I told right away. I said, Steve, I think you just did something special. And I had a tire iron on the deck that I used to undo my lids every morning.
Oh yeah.
And I whacked that son of a bitch as hard as I could. you know, broke the lip off my best grandma, but
Oh my
Holy
God.
crap.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
But
What
so I
what
said,
a picture in my head. That's
I said, God,
amazing.
we should get this into town right away. So
Yeah.
That's a truck fish then at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
It's going in the back of your truck or wherever you
yeah.
left it in the
Holy
boat.
cow.
Left in the library, yeah. But I got to Northern Highlands, which at that time had a registered Vilas County tournament scale.
Yep.
And I brought it in at Janie Harpster. Most of you probably all remember her working up there for probably the last 30 years for Carol there at the Northern Highlands store. And she was managed ship that day when I pulled in there. And I said, Janie, come on out, man. We got something special to weigh. And she come out, she looked at it. And when we put it on the scale, and it was at 50 and just barely coming off the thing, and she goes, Herbie, what have you done? You know, and that's when I got a little freaked out because of all the stuff that was going on with the St. Lawrence records and all that kind of stuff. So I immediately called Dick Moore, who was the head of the Lakeland chapter of Muskie's Inc. there and everything, and he had the regular Muskie's Inc. tournament scale, which I knew was also registered.
Yep.
And Dick was
certified.
Dick was real particular about that being perfect. You know what I mean? So I gave him a call. I said, Dick, can you get that scale up here? And he goes, well, I'm working. You know, he said, I can't get, I get out of, I should be able to be up there by about 7. I said, okay. So all day, this thing's going in and out of snowbanks. You know, everybody's taking pictures. We're drinking Crown and Coke, you know, and you know,
Crown and Coke.
It was one of them things, you know. There was people lined up. The word got around to St. And the lawns over in Sainer, you know, and they were like all the information for everybody. You know?
People were probably driving around to find this fish.
Oh yeah, it was a lot. It was pretty
amazing.
Cool. And then when Dick got up there, I mean, there was a big thing of slime under the scale, and all of a sudden we've been wiping it, pulling it in on a snowbank all day.
Right.
And he put it on a scale, and it only went 47.10. So I kind of gave up a true Wisconsin 50-pounder, which there ain't very many of them. But at that time, that fish was the largest fish in 33 years in Vilas County.
Wow.
So that was something special.
Just imagine a Mille Lacs whale, but in Wisconsin, and
then
what?
the very that next season with Timmy and Tommy Wendelberg, we caught a fish that was an inch longer, and it was built not quite as heavy at the back, but I think it was in that same 45 to 48-pound range, and we let that one go.
Oh wow! No kidding.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That was that same year,
cool.
but Klinzing was fishing with me. We got a couple 30-pounders, and you know, mid 30-pound fish.
Yeah, he had like a 51 or something with you, and on trout as well, I believe.
Yeah, so you know, that was pretty special times, and then you know, I had another real good year the next year, and then. You know, a customer of mine at the time who fished with me usually about 30 days a year wanted to get into the resort business in Canada. And at that time, I was going through a divorce. Things, you know, they were going to outlaw trolling in northern Wisconsin.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And that's,
you know,
that's a point,
I thought,
too.
man, now we're going to go backwards and everything, you know. So, and like I said, I still was at that stage in my life where I had more balls and brains.
Yeah.
And so I said, sure, why not? And found this place up on Eagle Lake. You know, if I'd have known what I'd know now, you know, it was a labor of love. It was pretty run down, beat up. You know, hadn't been open for 3 years, not one customer. Still thought I could fill it. You know, that's just the way it was back then. You know, and
you had to.
We went for it. We went for it. And, you know, at.
And what year is this?
That was 93. We actually opened the door. We bought it in 92 and opened the door in 93. So, but I mean, there wasn't boats, motors, you know, nothing.
Really?
Nothing.
And then,
totally rundown resort. Andy Myers.
And so for the next, you know, the next 20 years, You know, it basically was like being a farmer. You know, you put everything back into the labor of love. Worked, you know, 18/7, running the place as well as guiding 5-6 days a week. And so, you know, it was an adventure for sure. It was an adventure of enormous proportions. You know, and kid growing up there in the camp and
Yeah.
meeting all these cool people. Just like going from a lake that I only fished 1 week a year with my dad,
Sure.
Yeah.
to all of a sudden this is your
Living there. Yeah.
business, you know, and knowing and just the size of it and just just the
Even
way,
how far it was.
yeah, and just the way
Everything.
and living like a gypsy. You know, I'd stay up there from April to November, and then down here, and you're moving stuff back and forth, and on the road doing shows. It was a hustle bustle, you know.
Yeah.
But I'd never ever regret a second of it. It almost seems like a blur.
Yeah.
Happened,
Yeah.
things
Sure.
going together, and things were just always on the go, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun. And then the problem that I had there with the resort was after the thing turned in very popular, and
Yep.
it turned into a monster and just kept growing, and I let it. And that was my fault. It went beyond what I visioned. That was a close knit little fishing resort
Yep.
with nothing but, you know, mostly real good fishermen
Sure.
coming up.
Hardcore.
A lot
Yep.
of you were up there. A lot of different guides would come up as guest fishing instructors for a week or two and
Yep.
get free vacations and spend time with the guests. It was a lot of things got thrown around all over the table at night, you know,
Yeah.
and with guests and stuff. It was a really cool place, and it just got too big for me. It's still going along those routes with the new owners
Right.
and everything, but
Yeah.
it just that, you know, he can concentrate more on it. His wife's involved in it with him, and I'm up
Sure.
there, you know, helping him, you know, too, doing some of the things I did, but in a much more relaxed
Yeah.
state
Yeah.
besides guiding.
Right. Not having to deal
And
with.
it just got to the point where it was going to either, because I wasn't going to, people think I'm nuts. There goes back to what fishing means to me. You know, a guy that was sensible would have, you know, quit guiding and ran a very successful,
Business. Yeah. Yep.
business. But I wasn't going to give that up. I
Right.
just couldn't, and
Right.
I just
No
couldn't.
dollar amount on
I
that.
would
Yeah.
I would not be happy. You know, I would be regretting it later in my life, I'm
Yep.
sure. You know, and so it was time that I put it up for sale, and luckily the new owners, they really wanted me to stay a part of it. I had a
That's
lot
cool.
of repeat guests and clients I fished with every year.
Yep.
I've been everywhere, you know, in the industry at every show. A lot of people knew me, so he had a family, so that I could do shows and people would recognize me, and it was a good all around. I got to
Yep.
stay up there for the whole season. I actually was paying me more than I used to pay myself when I owned it.
No kidding.
It was a pretty good deal. I got to basically be like I was on vacation, you know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Doing what you love.
Doing what I love.
For
So,
absolute mega giants.
yeah, so that's why when the pandemic hit, you know, last year, it really
Yeah.
threw a loop
Right.
for me. You know, it just was so much a part of my life, and I just figured I sooner or later was always just going to happily die there. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Simple.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't die happily. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
It's in
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's in you.
Right.
That's your
So,
place.
so yeah. So yeah, and it was a very special thing. Like I said, the lake has so many different aspects to it. And I guess we're going to do something down the road here on just Eagle Lake, so we
Yeah.
don't want to beat that up too much. But
Yeah.
the whole thing of learning every day for 28 years, you can't do that on a lot of bodies of water
No.
that you guide and fish on. You know
No.
what I'm saying?
Right.
My
Even if there's
understanding.
multiple lakes after so many years, it's
Right.
pretty much you got it.
Mundane. Yeah.
A good angler is always learning something, but I could make it a point to fish something that was not just marginal looking, but like, holy moly, they're big
That's
fish
an-
here. Something new all the time. So there was that cool part of it.
Yeah.
You know, the lake being so multidimensional. That was a very cool part of
Oh,
being on that.
Well,
system.
my understanding, there's different stains in different parts of the lake. Is that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Varies greatly.
Yeah,
So it's
everything
like
from-
green.
Everything
Does it get
from gin
green?
clear, everything from gin clear to, you know, where you
West
could,
side.
where you could see like gin, you know,
Yeah.
15, 20, 18 feet down,
Yep.
down to coffee colored where you'd hit a
Oh,
rock,
really? So
control
there's
the
tea
motor,
too.
not see it.
Yeah.
No kidding.
And everything in between.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool, you know,
Gosh.
to be able to move around like that. And we'll have a whole nother deal
Right,
to
right,
talk
right.
about that
Yep.
too.
Well,
So I could go on for that for hours.
oh yeah. No, that would be
talking about
absolutely
Eagle Lake,
amazing.
you know.
Yeah.
It's
But maybe let's
absolutely-
hop back to what were other some big fish catches in northern Wisconsin? Or let's say how many fish over 50 did you get in your 6-year stint in that time?
You know what? I'm not that much of
Yeah,
a
numbers.
bean
Yep.
counter, you know, but
Me either.
I would average somewhere between 3 and 6 a season back then.
Holy.
Of over, you know, over 50.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my
and,
gosh.
you know,
Those
two-
lakes are so
you know,
good
and
then.
you know, 2 of them were weighed 40 pounders,
Right.
and there was 3 others that were right there.
It's insane.
You know what I mean? That were let go.
Yeah.
You know.
Was there stocking previously, or was it just
Oh, yeah.
those fish
Oh,
were
yeah.
were they
I
like
mean, they've been
untapped?
stocking them, you know, for many, many years. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
some lakes didn't have much stocking, some did. You know,
I suppose the fish were a little bit dumber back then. They were not so touched, maybe. I don't know. But that's insane.
well,
Try to
you
catch a
know-
50 in northern Wisconsin now, it's like
you know, I don't
ugh.
think we recognize conditioning either as much as
Yeah.
we do now, and make
Yep.
it think of it that way. But you know, it was back in the late '80s that there was some of us like me and Joe and Tony and Langley, and then everybody started getting my old buddy, some of my old buddies and stuff up there, TJ and them boys. I mean, we went, there was conditioning and we knew it because we were fishing from the second week of June till middle of September after dark. We looked like zombies.
Really?
You know? Like, yeah.
You
like
guys are that
albinos.
hardcore back
We
then.
looked like albinos who never got any sun, you know?
Really?
You know?
It was
So,
just night fishing.
Unless for several of those, 3 or 4 of those 6 years, if there wasn't a major storm coming in, I wasn't on the water.
You're not fishing in the day.
No.
Really?
No, not till late
Wow.
fall. Not till fall.
That's an interesting
Wow.
difference between the Minnesota or spotted muskie and then the Wisconsin bar. They are a much different fish
Oh,
altogether.
for sure.
It seems like they like deeper breaks. They like deeper water, generally speaking. They're not as willing to hit on, like you said, bluebird type skies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you feel that's
Yeah,
accurate?
and you know, and if I had to say, I'd say they're almost like the difference between a muskie and a tiger, Wisconsin barred and a leopard.
Sure.
As far as I mean, the bars seem to be crazier, you know, as far as sight and colors and being up high and flats and stuff like that in the sun, and you know,
Yeah.
all kinds of crazy stuff. It just seems that they seem to be, you know, like maybe the difference between an alligator and a crocodile or something.
Sure,
I don't know.
sure.
They're the
Yeah.
same, they look the same, but they're different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Different
know?
habits.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You fished the spotteds in Minnesota and the Great Lakes more than I have. The spots I got are Canadian fish, you know.
That's
Right.
what's so interesting about eagle. I mean, if I had one body of water to fish every day forever, it really probably would be eagle.
Yeah.
It's so entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, but those fish vary dramatically on their appearance.
And we haven't had a real good chance, you know, to test them as far
At
as
night, duh.
bite.
Yeah.
As
Right.
far as the night
Duh.
bite. Except for a couple of times where, God damn it, my motor just wouldn't start.
Shoot.
Shoot. I got a trolling motor all the way home.
You had the trolling motor all the way home.
But
Yeah, for those of you not familiar, Eagle Lake is night fishing is banned on that water. And
Yeah.
tell us about that quick.
well, yeah, it started way back, you know, and that was back in she's had to been in the 70s. And it wasn't put on, it wasn't a rule put on by the M&R. It was eventually, but it was requested by all the resort owners, and at that time was known as the Eagle Lake Conservation Club or something. It was all the resort owners that, you know, they were concerned about the future of Eagle Lake, because at that time you know, I mean, everybody knew through history, you know, what this lake is capable of producing. Trophy fish of every single species, but it was also becoming very exploited along with some commercial fishing, not so much for walleyes and northerns, but for whitefish, which are the forage base for everything, you know, and there were enough, there's always incidentals caught, you know, that they're allowed, you know, so, and then there was, you know, it had become a very, very popular lake to back in the 70s, it was actually known as the walleye fishery. It was kind of jokingly on the side, you know, called the Dead Sea, because it just been so exploited by resorts and shore lunches and
really
fishing and everything else. And so there was a area in the lake where the biggest walleyes would all migrate to, you know, after spawning and recuperation periods to spend the summer. Big basins full of whitefish and baby ciscos, or ciscos and baby whitefish and things like this. And these fish were almost impossible to catch, unlike a lot of your deeper Great Lakes suspended fish. They're able to get at. When these fish are down in that 35 to 50 foot range, they're almost impossible to catch. A lot of people have tried it, very seldom. But every evening, right before dark, especially under flatter, warmer, stable type of conditions, you know, the ciscos would come to the surface, flipping, chasing whatever they eat, daffy or whatever it is, zooplankton or whatever they eat. And they come to the surface and they're flipping all over, and that surface becomes an edge. And those big walleyes, it was just like a dinner bell going off. Those big walleyes would turn from neutral nothingness to aggressive, to where Danny was out there out in 30 and 40 and 50 and 60 feet of water, catching them on white Zara spooks.
Top water.
10, 15, 10, or, you know, 10, 12 pound, 8 to 12 pound walleye.
30 plus inches.
Jumping after them. Like, you know.
What a phenomenon.
Yeah,
that's
people
like
couldn't believe it.
National Geographic crap.
But anyway, there was, you know, at that time, there wasn't the slot limit that Eagles that has, that actually, you know, it's just a marvel at what it's done for that lake. And we'll get into that later. But
they had to shut that down.
There was 6 fish, no size limit. And, you know, there'd be sometimes out in this basin, 60 boats, all catching, 3 guys catching 18, keeping 18 fish from 5 to 10, 12 pounds, right?
Wow.
Every night. And the locals could go every day. And they would, you know, during these summer months. So the resort owners asked the M&R to put a night ban on the walleye fishing, and that's what they did. The first year, you know, you could fish muskies still after dark, but they were finding incidences where people were actually trolling walleyes with like bigger crankbaits, like number 18 Rapellas, and they were claiming that they were fishing muskies. So it became a regulatory nightmare, and no warden wants to be out there on a lake full of rocks at dark, you know, chasing maybe somebody around that might be fishing walleyes. So they put a night ban on. They took the Eagle Lake Muskie night ban. They put that into effect too. So,
what year was this?
This was what had to been at, I don't know exact date, but it was in the 70s.
70s, okay.
Yeah, and so now going back from the Dead Sea, Eagle Lake right now is one of the top 10 fisheries in all of Ontario. It was just, and then when they went to 4 fish instead of 6 fish, and then the slot limit of 18 to 23 inches has to go back, and only 1 fish over the slot. And we started back in 94, we started the policy of no kill over the slot at all.
Nice. For your camp?
Nothing over 18 inches could be killed.
That's awesome.
And you know,
all the other
replicas were starting to get so good. Why? And then all of a sudden, all the other resorts started promoting it at the shows to keep up with us. So it became an effort of everybody to promote that on the lake. And the lake just so responded to the point where it's just incredible. I mean, you know, and any knowledgeable guide, if there's the minnow bite going on in the summer, if you leave the dock with less than 10 dozen, you're gonna be running out most days.
Right.
So besides the big fish Eagle's always been known about, there's just so many, because they spawn so many different ways on Eagle. There's creek spawners, there's shoal spawners, there's shoreline spawners. So no matter what the conditions, one of them or two of them or all of them successfully spawn.
Right.
And so
That's
it's just
insane.
like a boom. Well,
Right.
I'm almost wondering, is there almost getting to be too many?
Right.
You know?
Could be too.
So we'll just have to see, because they all feed on the baby whitefish and ciscos
Right.
and everything too. So when you crush all that,
Right.
we'll just have to see. But maybe they'll change the slot. Maybe they'll make you keep 4 fish under 15 or something like that, regardless of how big the slot goes. So I don't know, but it's turned into a fishery, and the musky fishing has changed completely there. Completely there, from low numbers of big fish to big fish and lots of numbers. It's completely changed. And I believe that has to do because there's not near as many pike as there was 30 years ago.
Okay.
I think that's the reason. I don't think it has anything to do with 54-inch size though.
Oh, there's an interesting point.
I don't think it has anything, because nobody kills them anyway. They protect themselves, even if you could.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
I know that for a fact. And so I believe it's because there's not a tenth of the northerns. I mean, that there was 30 years ago. So I believe that's just better, higher successful spawn and survival rates.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
it's going to be a lot like Lake of the Woods, but I still think you have bigger average size shots over and above.
For sure.
The over and above chance at the lotto deal,
Right.
But it's getting to the point now where you can reasonably expect to catch 2 to 6 fish a day,
Wow,
that's insane.
Of 5 to 45 inches, and you still got all the big ones,
Right.
So what about, I recall, this is back when I first started working at like Steve Gerhardt's back in the day.
Yeah.
And I remember the Bob Bamel fish.
Yeah.
And that was
the first 40 pounder. That was the first year I had the resort, and that was the first 40 pounder that I caught on Eagle.
Wow.
And back in the day there, I was really known, for my live bait fishing in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. Okay. So when I got to Eagle, and that was when we were still using, back in the late 90s, late 80s, early 90s, we were still using single hooks.
Oh yeah.
People didn't realize just how much what it was doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that, so about that time was when we were starting to experiment with quick sets, and they were so archaic, great big nose hooks. The only way I could catch fish was I put people up in the front of the boat and tell them to hold on, and I backed the boat up as fast as I could at higher speed rather than up to set the hook.
Sure.
And then you move the sucker in their mouth.
Right.
And so, but anyway, this is what I'm alluding to, is how the quick set rig really came about. And
Still
so
using Dacron.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we were up there, I was with Bobby, and I think Cleansing might have even been Wally with me. I'm not sure, but I had one. I was trying to get the bait dealer to get me suckers. You know what I mean? And they didn't know how to trap them like the boys. Nobody'd ever asked use the big sucker in Canada up to this point ever. Right now, people will bid for them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so I got Wayne Clark, who was a very master bait trapper and dealer up there, and so he was opened up some minnow traps. He was maybe catching one, and he was, man, this just economically ain't paying off. I showed him how to build, told him how to build the great big ones, and he's a trapper. He just went from there. But anyway, the very first 18, 19-inch sucker I had.
First one.
The very first one. The very first one I had in my hand on Eagle Lake. And I just, and then I went west besides, which is, lower numbers and literally not as good a live bait fishing as, say, down by a camp or the middle section of the lake.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, it is, but now that I know what's going on, I got a long line them, you know, and free swim them. And whereas then we were still running them closer to the boat, stuff like that. So I mean, I know how to catch them up there now. That's evolution of time and stuff like that. But anyway,
tell us about this one fish.
So I'd actually used this. You know, I got it like at 2 o'clock, and I ran out and I used it around Strawberry for a little bit, and so I knew I was going to be guiding Bob and the boys the next day. So I babied it. I kept it in the live well. I put reader in there,
tucked it in at night.
I'd have given it mouth to mouth if I'd had to. Right? So we get out that next day and everything, and I'd seen this big fish off of this point up in Chow a couple of weeks previous. So we slid across that point, and instantly the rod went off. And the way it went, it just click. The big ones are always different than the small fish. You know, the big fish go zip when they grab it. That's all. It's just a zip, and then it's over. And after that,
just move.
Click, 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 click.
Wow,
like
that was very similar.
Like Jaws.
But the small ones and the thoroughbreds, the 44, 45, 46, those are the ones that'll grab them and move off faster, you know. But so I knew I felt very confident. And when I put a little pressure on, it wouldn't let me do anything. So I knew it was a good fish. Unfortunately, I mean, it was a 42 or 43 pound fish. Unfortunately, it wasn't the fish we were there for. The fish, the fish I'd seen a couple of weeks before that was.
How big you think?
It was a 55 pound fish. You know.
Jeez, what is dimensions on that? Do you think 57, 58? One of those animals?
No, up there was probably a 55 incher, but
okay,
I mean, I'll send you some pictures of fish I've got up west that are big as around as this
table here.
As this table here, are deep, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
didn't you guys flip a bottle cap for it?
Yeah. One of them got it did anyway. And Bob got it
from a soda, right?
But what I'm getting at is that was my first sucker in my hand on Eagle Lake.
Wow.
Okay, and I was on a single hook. So, and that's to this day the only fish I've ever killed on Eagle.
Sure.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
It's something to do with we were still in that mode of just starting to get into repos. The promotion aspect of the first 40-pound fish since I got to camp. The single hook was just kind of a combination of things. And so, you know, we got this fish in the boat. And that next day is when I realized that there's no way in hell that I could allow that to go on Eagle Lake by me or anybody else, because we'd kill it. So that's when I started dreaming up the quick release type of stuff.
The Herbie rig.
Well, it's just whether it's, you know, it's the basis of all philosophy now of the breakaway rig. Whether you're using a rubber band, whether you're using a little straightenable hook or a clip, it's all goes to the back to the quick release so that you can easily hook fish with it without having to give them time and everything else. But it's kind of like one fish sacrificed for something that came about that probably wouldn't have came about for quite a few years.
Really?
So it saved a lot of muskies.
No kidding.
And
that's cool.
I felt bad about killing that first fish, but I've never killed one since.
Yeah.
And it bothered me so bad. That was when I was starting to get a conscience. And
well, you saw how valuable that fish was.
Exactly.
How many days you had to put in to catch fish back in northern Wisco to catch a monster?
Exactly.
It's hard.
And when I won, the only first live bait I had in that bait, a 40-pounder fell to it, I thought, oh my God, you know, I can't let this happen.
Right.
You know? So, because I knew it was gonna.
Oh yeah. It's gonna work.
Yeah. So, so that's how the Herbie rig came about. I sat there, you know, over a bottle of Crown and start thinking over things.
How to do it.
And it came about, and that's how it started. And obviously, there's been evolutions along the way, but the breakaway concept is what it was all about, and it works.
Wow.
Now I believe there's video footage of this,
and that goes back. That goes back to what I was talking about. A period of time when so many new things were happening.
Yeah.
You know, and coming to light, and people were musky fishermen were becoming way different.
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden. The
Yeah.
few that really got it.
Yeah.
You know, it became a way more of a thinking man's game than it ever used to. You know, and so it was like I said, that was just one of the things.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't believe how many things that are mainstay. I'll sit down and think about them before we do our next deal on Eagle Lake, and on how many things that actually came to light over a bottle of Crown around the round table.
Oh, yeah.
At Andy Meyer's Lodge back in the early days.
Looking at the paper maps and stuff.
With some of the best fishermen sitting there and
Yeah.
flying off the top of our heads, you know.
Wow.
It was pretty cool back then. you
That
know?
had been so
Very
fun.
cool.
The evolution of musky fishing as we know it
Yeah,
today. Really.
Yeah.
That's
it was
just
pretty cool.
Back then, did you have like a little handheld GPS to get back home? Like, how the heck do you find
No,
camp?
no GPS.
No.
Yeah.
That's
It's
amazing.
just like second, third year, then I finally got my first.
Yeah.
GPS.
Did the
That was I'd be honest with you, that was one of the coolest things about it there, because there was never ever really any good maps like are available now.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
like
1 foot contour.
yeah, one for and there isn't even one like that
Are there-
available on Eagle yet, but it's still decent, right?
were the
Yeah.
reefs marked back then?
No, hell no. And
Oh my
then that
gosh.
was what was so cool,
Yeah.
is being able to do it the old way with the triangulation and find these humps
It's
out
amazing.
in the middle of the lake.
Yeah. Yep.
Get right on them.
You knew how to get
yeah,
on.
and that was part of that was a fun thing about
Yeah.
guiding is
Yeah.
and all that, and
People couldn't just show up to that lake with
Yeah.
their boat
yeah,
and go do it themselves.
right.
They
You
needed
knew where
somebody,
those
yeah.
rocks
Now
were.
people go by and go beep beep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, right.
You know, so there isn't a lot of secrets anymore.
There is video footage of that fish, is there not?
I believe so. I think
I
maybe,
swear I've seen it.
I think either John or Joe Cleansing has.
We'll do a little digging,
Yeah,
see if we can
yeah,
find
yeah.
that. But
Really?
I know I've seen a clip of that fish.
But since that fish, okay, 28 years, I've had 57 fish over 40 pounds in my boat off Eagle. Some years as many as 3 or 4, some years 1.
Yeah.
But a lot close. You know, what you really think is 40 pounds, most of the time is 36, 37.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Well, the Shetland scale really woke me up.
Yeah. Yep. You're actually
It
way
So
up.
takes
these
a
are
ton,
actual,
and-
like in
and
the
these-
cradle, or what
and
kind of
fit-
scale?
You just weigh them in nets, yeah. With the
Yeah,
Shetland.
okay. Yep.
But you know,
Legit 40
the
pounders.
50
Wow.
pounders, it takes you wouldn't believe what it takes to actually go 50.
Yeah.
It takes a ton to go 50.
Have you girthed any of those ones that you actually weighed just to see what that compares to the calculator?
Usually they're off a little bit.
Yeah.
Usually it depends on how the fish are built and what part of the lake.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like on the Western Arm, it doesn't fit in real good because they're shorter and fatter. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Whereas, and then you get down the central part of the lake, those are the big brown ones up
Okay.
Portage Bay and the Western Arm, and then Eagle is kind of a mix of the big brown ones and the spotteds. And as you get farther east and south, you get more and more spots as you get
Okay.
down there. And those fish they're still plenty big and fat. Don't get me
Right.
wrong.
Right. Right.
They tend to just be built different.
Sure.
I know when I got to Mille Lacs and we started catching those giants in the fall, I was like, we got to know what these things are. We have to know. And I went and bought a boga grip, which we never hung a fish from the boga. We would hang the cradle from the boga grip, but it was IGFA certified scale, and that we would weigh the fish in the cradle. And the first one we weighed was a 51 by 27 inch Scotty fish in Mille Lacs that was stocked 84 to 88. And that fish was 46 pounds. And that went to the formula that was right there.
Yeah.
But it carried it that whole way. 2 days later, I was out with James Linder.
You know, it takes a beast.
We
Man.
Hammernick called. He says, "Hey, we got one to weigh," and he called us over. We went and weighed it. It was 44 pounds, same dimension, but it was a spotted.
Was a
and
spotted.
it was not all the way
Yeah.
at the end.
Sure. Yeah. It didn't go
So-
through the tail. Huh.
Right. Anyway, that's just my
Yeah.
input on weighing them.
Boy, those are, you know, when you get 51, fish under 52 going over 40, those
46, dude. We
Wow.
weighed it, man.
Wow,
I
those-
didn't hold it. I looked at the scale.
they
I
are
couldn't
so
hold it.
special fish when you're holding them too.
Yeah.
You can't hardly even get them up to hold them right.
No.
'cause
Right.
They don't fit, you know.
Yep.
Right. It's different.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest fish you got in Eagle Lake in your time?
The biggest that I've caught there was 57 and a half.
That was summertime fish or
in my boat.
okay.
Actually, the longest fish was actually opening week, on a regular sized bulldog. But the other really big fishes, most of them have been August and October.
Okay, gotcha. Huh.
Although we're starting to catch a lot more bigger fish now, early in the season too, like mid-June and stuff.
Really?
Especially once we started another thing that
Open water trolling kind of deal, or
one of the Minnesota stuff, and we first started finding it too.
yeah,
With that open water after suspended stuff.
After the spawn. Where do you think the fish spawn on Eagle? Are they spawning deeper?
Well, that's the thing. That we get some tigers, but not tons. We
Right.
usually have 3 or 4 caught out of the lodge every year. But that's the reason they claim that the lake has the potential to produce world records naturally, not a stocked fishery.
Yep.
Is because the muskies coexisted with pike forever, 10,000 years or 20,000 years, or whatever it is. The muskies spawn. You don't very seldom ever see them up like you would, like you said, you guys were casting them on the Madison.
Yeah,
Unless they're just up, an odd one is up there cruising in the warm water.
Right.
But they actually spawn like 10, 12, 15 feet deep.
It's amazing.
Over this curly kind of cabbage, a low-lying cabbage. And they like that the eggs get down in there.
And stick to them. That's what Larry Ramsell was talking about.
Right.
Huh.
So,
which where they've radio tracked on Eagle.
Right. That's how they found a lot of that out.
Yeah,
right.
That's cool.
So the thing of it is that that's why they can coexist, is because they've been there so long. The muskies have figured out how, or the ones that survived actually spawn deeper.
Yeah. Cohabitate.
Now you go up just north of us, you get up onto the Indian Chain Lake and Canyon and some of them.
Yep.
Pike have gotten in there, and just in the 30 years that I've been in Canada, you saw the progression where there was oodles and tons of low, mid 30, high 30-inch fish to catching an occasional tiger here and there, and not hardly as near as many muskies, but all of a sudden you might even catch a fish up to 42 to 48 inches.
Really?
And now all of a sudden in Indian Chain, you can't hardly catch a muskie. That's the natural evolution.
Right, without any stocking or stuff like that.
Pike get into lakes that they weren't intended to ever be there.
Sure. Yeah, I remember hearing guys talk about Canyon and Eagle where the 15 fish a day, or not Eagle, but Canyon and
Indian Chain.
Indian Chain and those. Yep. Yeah.
So now it's just garbage.
Well, there's still a lot of fish.
But not what it.
There's still a lot of fish on Canyon and stuff like that in the Indian Chain. But I know the smaller system of Corner, it is definitely, you're seeing that now. What happened 20 years ago on the Indian Chain is now starting to happen on. You haven't seen the results of the lowering of the numbers of muskies, but on a smaller system that's enclosed, like the Indian Chain, it was very visible. It was in an exaggerated state. You could see how it happened.
Well, what about, we should ask, what are some of the maybe more memorable fish, whether Northern Wisco or Eagle, that just come to mind that just stick with you? Some of
Is that your Birdley?
No, that's Herbie's phone.
Okay, I was wondering what the heck was happening. There's a duck.
I put that on my phone when I was bow hunting last fall. Once in a while, I'd forget to turn off my ringer, and if it went off in the morning, I'd had does right by me, not even look up.
Really? That's awesome.
Oh man.
No, that's thinking with your head. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to hear
a few more stories. Oh my gosh.
Individual fish that really
they're so entertaining.
Special to you.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Like those 2 Wisconsin fish still are, no matter what I've caught, are something real special. And then there's and Jack Clifton caught that big fish with me on coup de ray, and he's also involved in one of the larger fish that I boated on Eagle.
Yeah.
That was actually Pete was in the boat with us.
Oh, really?
Pete had come back from Lake of the Woods fishing with Doug Johnson. This was in November. Jack was up hunting deer with me, and he had just shot a big 10-pointer that day. And back then, both of them could finish off a bottle of Jack pretty easy. And but as there was still only a couple fingers left in it, they were pretty much trying to talk me in. At that time, I was done fishing. The camp was closed except for deer on the
Sure.
Yeah.
my boat was all cleaned out, still in the lake, but it had been all cleaned out because I was busy guiding deer hunters at that point. And they talked me into going. I said, okay, let's go. I still had like 4 suckers in the live well that were alive. Okay, so they talked me into it. I got the hunters out the next morning, and we went out. You know the lake. I just went out from the lodge. You know, first place stop on Colonel's Island. We seen a big fish that didn't bite. So then we go over to Flat Top and
Flat Top.
And I come wheeling around the reef, and we had 2 fish up that day. The one we ended up catching, which I'll get into, was one of the biggest I've ever boated on Eagle yet to this day, and it was the smaller of the 2.
Of course,
you know,
the bigger one always eludes you.
It never bit, and I never did see that fish again.
Sure.
And it's not a big area. It just makes you wonder what's out there. You know.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, we were coming around, and Jack had it chasing a black bulldog, and down deep, and I could see how deep it was. And at that point, I had just rigged a sucker. It was in my hand, and the fish came in on the bulldog, and as they do a lot, the big fish, particularly in the cold water, it's just like
they just glide,
a flyby. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I just pitched the bait out the back of the boat and just free spooled it.
Yeah.
And that took off, and I actually grabbed it instantly.
Ooh, I'll take that.
Yeah. And it was an epic fight. Fought really, really hard.
Yeah.
Jack set it right away. It grabbed it, just started heading over towards sunset right up to the base, and he hit it right away and hooked it perfectly right in the corner of the mouth, and it was an epic fight. So
what year is this?
That would have been about 90, I'd say about 96 or 97.
Okay.
98, 97, 98, right in there.
Herbie rig was in full swing.
Yep, full swing Herbie rig.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then we went farther.
How big was that first one?
Well, okay, we had no ruler in the boat. You know,
you're kind of done, really, for the season.
And I always we guessed it at 57, 58 inches. You know what I'm saying?
Holy crap! Of course.
Who knows, right? And what I always did is people used to always ask me, they'd see the picture online or something, they'd say, "How big is that?" And I just say, "You tell me." You get estimates of 60 plus, and all kinds of things. You know what
70.
I'm saying? Yeah. So it was fun to play with that fish. I would say in my heart, I'd say it was probably about 52, 53 pounds.
Okay.
Wow. Right in that neck of the woods.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Epic.
But I've seen fish incredibly bigger. I mean, you know, over the last 30 years, I've seen 4 fish that were noticeably bigger, and no idea what they could have weighed because you just don't know.
You haven't touched them.
Never touched them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Had one hook that broke a line. But those, like I said, those super fish, there's only very, very, very few. As we all know, they're just a freak of nature, but it's just good genetics that it can happen there.
Yeah.
I can't believe one hasn't over 60 inches hasn't been caught, because I know for a fact it's not resort talk, it's not guide talk.
Oh no.
It's these were huge fish, and several others of people that I know wouldn't stretch a thing.
Yeah.
Anything they're usually under.
Yeah.
I've encountered fish. Why? It just goes to show you how those big fish are so different.
Yeah.
Right.
So
superior.
Different.
Way superior.
Not everyone can get off when they get hooked, although
Seems that way.
Why do they never ever even bite? It's just there's so much to do.
Well, I know when the longest fish I've ever had on a bump board was 57, and when you see that fish, you hold that fish, you measure it, and then you think about the other ones you've seen, they're beyond that.
Yeah.
When they're beyond that.
Yeah.
What are they? I don't know either.
Right.
I mean, I saw a couple on Mille Lacs that I was like,
just
what are
how come they don't get caught?
Right.
It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty nuts. Oh, gosh, there's some freaks in Eagle. But wow, you still got more to this story. That's insane. There's more to this day than just the one.
We kept going west, and Pete caught. Oh, he caught 2 or 3 small fish on jakes, jerking jakes, and
probably 46 inchers.
No, they were small fish.
Oh, okay.
They were small, under 40, and we were commenting on it. What the hell? We just caught one of the biggest fish any of us been a part of.
Right.
And now all we're catching is these little male-looking fish. What the hell's going on? And so we pull up on this next spot, and again, incoming on Jack's dog is a fish that's about like the fish we caught, maybe a tad small, but a solid 40-pound plus fish, right?
Yeah.
And we had it was the first cast on spot. I was still opening up my live well.
Sure, getting the sucker.
And so I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I just flipped the sucker off the back and started feeding it out.
Pigeon suckers.
And the fish grabbed it again. And I quick handed it to Pete and Jack were both up there, and they're both going, "Oh, no, you. No, you, please, sir. I'm doing,
figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Will somebody take this thing?" And I go, "You take it." And I don't know, man. It was like being how a woman could pick up a car because her kid's stuck under it or something.
Yeah.
I just
you hammered it.
I broke 40-pound XT.
Oh, broke mono.
So it had to have had a nick somewhere from.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
I broke that fish right off on the
God.
So then after that, we didn't see much more. But we that day would have been a pretty special day with 2 fish that size.
2 fish over 55.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. There's so much more to this too. That's the crazy part. Oh my gosh.
How many years?
Yeah,
that's insane.
So many of them, and like I said,
that's funny. And you still love it.
After all that, and knowing what's swimming around there, and getting back to what I was saying, the kind of fun I had for the little bit I got to fish back in my home starting ground.
Sure, down here.
It was pretty special.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this coming season. I'm hoping the border opens so I can fish some of it next fall. I really still even believe, though, and it depends on if I have that same feel this year, I might just go to fishing about 8 to 10 weeks in Canada, my 2 Primus windows.
Sure.
End of July through August, and then again October, and I'd stay a little bit more into November then. So
sure.
Just my special guys that wanted to come up and with what goes on up there.
Yeah. Right. It's not easy rodeo.
And then do this, and then do May, June,
down here.
June and the first half of July before the water usually hits down near 80 the last few years, and get out of here for that prime stuff, and then be back for that shallow water late September, mid-September, late September and then be to Canada for when my favorite is
for the last, right? For the
last
and that would be that way,
be prime,
variety too.
My gals have been pretty good, me being gone 6 months a year for almost 30, I've lost a couple of them, but
it must be your looks.
I've got a lot of, supported me a lot, and it's
got to be the looks,
back and fishing at least, and being in my own bed for half of the season would be nice as I move forward too.
Right.
So
not the worst thing.
I'm having a lot of fun around here, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt Steve Herbeck has, like I said before, been an inspiration for me. And I would have to say that, there's probably not been somebody that has worked harder at this sport, whether it's from the guiding standpoint, to the resort end of it, which you didn't know you were going to become a resort.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
yeah, look, I mean, holy cow, dude!
I
Like,
had a partner to start. He was going to do all the business work, and then he
Yeah.
had to move on because of family, and you know,
Yep.
it's just not a great way to start
it's hard.
make a living with two people, you know, right
Yeah.
away. And you know, it's
This
yeah.
guy has busted his butt, man, and he lives it. And that's why you've been an inspiration to me and
Yeah.
doing what I've done.
You're
And
gonna make me cry.
it's just so cool, man. I mean, the fact that we could sit here and talk about this and hear all these stories. I mean, we're so lucky that
Yeah,
we have this
incredible.
opportunity to do this. Obviously, there'll be some more. We definitely want to get on the water with Steve, obviously.
Yeah. Let's do
We
some
want to hear,
Madison fishing. That would be fun.
right? We
Yeah.
want to hear about Eagle Lake some more and actually start breaking down and talking about fishing specifically on Eagle Lake, tactics, techniques, baits. We're looking forward to hearing some of the secrets of,
Yeah.
and this guy has been on, when you're on a body of water every single day for that many years, you just, man, you
know,
are
you're
part
in
of that
tune.
lake.
Right.
Yeah, you become a part of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what's happening. And when you don't, that's when it switches. That's when it really becomes interesting, and you don't want to go in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's cool.
But man,
But yeah,
I don't know.
guy,
What do you think, Robbie?
thank you. Thank you, Steve Herbeck. This was an awesome little interview. We have so much more to do with, I mean, that's just insane. There's so much more to talk about, but
I know.
I think hour 30 or more is probably plenty for you guys, but we'll be doing this again for sure. Maybe some fishing too. You should come up here, Herbie. Just go back on. That would be cool.
Hooray.
You got a place to crash.
I got some guys that are staying up on Nemacoggin and want me to come up and stay with them for a week at the end of September and
Oh
fish.
wow, that'd be
But
fun.
I got too many guys that stay. That lake ain't big enough for us, all of us. You know.
Oh sure, yeah, yeah.
That lake ain't big enough for you and me. You just stay off of there. You know.
That's hilarious.
But it's just a joke. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
fun.
But yeah, no,
But to be honest, that lake up there, you've been fishing it, haven't you?
yeah, yeah.
It
Haven't
seems
seen
like-
any.
Seems like
real
that
giants.
is the lake up there for big fish right now.
Yeah, yeah. It can.
But-
I know last year was a little bit slower, but
Yeah.
the year prior there's some giants caught. Yeah. But no, cool lake. I do love being up here. It's interesting. Can't beat it. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You can listen to this on or stream it on Spotify, Apple, or on Podbean, and or just watch it on YouTube. That was awesome.
Man, I'm overwhelmed. I just can't wait till the next one. It's going to
Yep.
be fun. Hopefully we'll be outside, would be really
Right.
nice.
Yep.
But yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Steve, for coming and telling your story.
Yeah.
We can't wait to hear more. Make sure to go down and click the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. And until the next installation of Legends of Musky Fishing, there was Steve Herbeck. We got more guys that we're working on getting on board to do this. So thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one.
See ya.